that you turn to, someone you can rely on, closer each day, home and away.
Welcome to Home and Away, a Tottenham Hotspur podcast hosted by myself, Graham Spice, and Glenn Cowie, where we discuss all things Tottenham Hotspur with both a match-attending and international supporters view. Glenn, how you doing?
Yeah, good, mate. Doing good. Eagerly anticipating this quarter-final. I don't know whether it's just morbid curiosity on what we get, but broadly I'm well. How are you going, mate? You're going to be attending the game, right? Coming up.
Yes, me and Josh are going. We got tickets in the corner of the east and the south stand, so like right in the top. But it's kind of like overlooking what would have been the shelf, I guess. Looking forward to it, actually. I don't know how full the stadium would be. They priced the tickets were priced much higher than the last round. Category C tickets. I paid 60 quid each for the tickets, which is quite a lot. But I suppose it's a fairly big game. But I would have thought that they would have rather have filled it than not filled it. But who knows what goes on in his mind.
No matter what seems to be happening around Spurs and the general form, European nights are always fun, right? Well, we hope it's fun.
Yeah.
They're usually a good atmosphere, under the lights. But as we touched on in the last episode, what we want to happen is a bloody big arse. We need to win this first leg, and we probably need to do it in a way that's giving us something, not just the clinging on to a 1-0 into the second leg. But Frankfurt, they're a good team, and I'd overlooked this. I didn't realise until I kind of looked in a bit more detail, but he's a bit old now, but Mario Götze plays for them. And as far as their form goes, what was it? They're third in the Bundesliga?
Yes, they did lose recently, though, to Werder Bremen. So
yeah, I saw that. Yeah, that they'd lost.
But they are a decent team, and they knocked Ajax out 6-2 in the last round of 16.
Yeah, and I'm just Götze he did play in the last game. He's only 32. I mean, so he
feels like he's been around forever, doesn't he?
Yeah,
I would have said he was 38 or something.
It was Munich, Dortmund, Eindhoven, and then back to Germany, to Frankfurt. Yeah, so I don't know, mate. It's a strange old season, isn't it? Because part of us, I think we've all said it, we just want the season over. But then we've got this opportunity, because it is an opportunity, to do quite well. Because if we can get past Frankfurt, mate, Bodo Glimt and Lazio, there's nothing to be too concerned by there. Well, it's a tough away trip to Lazio, but then all of a sudden you end up working way to the final.
The biggest concern about Lazio away will be supporters getting stabbed on the street again.
Yeah, I remember that.
It is weird, though, as you said, that our season is like Schrodinger's cat right now. It's like it could either be our best or worst season ever on the flip of these fixtures, right?
Yeah, I mean, and it's quite painful to look at them up the road doing what they did to Real Madrid.
Yeah, but imagine they must have been thinking the same when we did the same, right?
Yeah. You were at that game.
We were at Wembley. Yeah.
So I remember that.
You know, they must have imagined that period with Poch. They must have been feeling the same because they were struggling around that period, weren't they, as well? So
they certainly were. And, you know, it would be quite ironic. The last time, obviously, when we got to the Champions League final, it goes a bit overlooked, but Arsenal were in the Europa League final against Chelsea. So
yeah,
it would be
Yeah,
it would be quite amusing if they were to go all the way, and so will we. It's just been flipped.
Yeah.
But let's hope that we win it and they don't.
I'm kind of hoping that they end up playing by Munich and that Kane knocks them out. Or no, Eric Dyer beats them.
Yeah, Eric Dyer and Harry Kane. Yeah, that would be lovely. Well, they've got work to do, haven't they? No, by Munich, they lost their first leg 2-1 at home.
Yeah, they did.
So, but back to Spurs. As far as injuries go, obviously Dragusin, he's out till probably August or September. But Danso also injured, and then Kulusevski
playing unavailable as well. Yeah, still.
Well,
Kulusevski still a doubt as well.
It looks like from the Southampton game that he did. I mean, he seemed to rotate a little bit. Well, not exactly just rotate. I think it's just with an eye on this game.
The Ven comes back in, right? You would hope.
Absolutely, he does. And then,
but then the fullbacks, you wonder what he's going to do with that. Whether Udogie comes back in and Spence or Porro. But I think Spence has been our best defender the last couple of months. So I don't think you can drop him. So
No,
maybe he sticks with Porro and Spence even.
Well, and not even from a defensive point of view with Spence. Also, he's been excellent at getting forward and in terms of actually linking up play and doing the job of what Ange is asking of our fullbacks to do, which I think he's been really impressive in. And speaking of, I'll give him a shout out, but I don't know if you watched it. I sent you a video. The guy's called Adam Cleary.
I watched it. It was excellent. He did really good analysis.
He's really good. I got onto him during the Euros when England were pretty piss poor and then managed to get our way to a final. But I found that analysis, and for our listeners, Adam Cleary is his name, and he does generally just good analysis, but he does a really good one on what's going wrong at Spurs. And the general context of it is it's actually working. Like, if you look at the stats, it is working, but there's a reason we're not winning games. And his view is because of this, you get some kind of stability and continue the same type of players, and then they're replaced. And it's like very hard to have this style of football implemented when you're constantly chopping and changing players. It's just one view, but I found it really interesting, and it got probably blind hope, but it gave me a bit of hope that maybe, just maybe, we can get it right with Ange, because it's a funny thing when you look, like you said, when you look at the stats. If you read off goals scored, positions in the final third, shots created, except all the attacking stuff, it's like we shouldn't be in the top 6.
Yeah,
not where we are.
We've just shipped too many goals at the back, haven't we? Though.
Yeah. Well, and also has that. I mean, where do you sit on? Yes, we've beat him with the stick, actually, haven't we? Where Ange just, wait till we get the players back, and now we've got the players back, and it hasn't been a great deal better. But do you think there's an element of the likes of Romero, Van der Ven, Udogie, Spence to all play together and actually bed in? Like, if this was the start of the season, would we be giving them more of a break than we are now? Because they haven't played a lot of football together, right? In terms of that back four.
No, you're right. We haven't, because one or several of them has been injured most of the season, right?
Yeah, and that's the whole point that Adam Cleary makes on his video, in terms of just a constant rotation of players that just...
And also, some of the players that have played have been playing out of position. Like, Archie Gray has played more than half the season as a centre-back, and that's just not his role, right? And we even had Spence played centre-back at one point as well. And although I really like Ben Davies, he's not really a good centre-back. He's an average centre-back, but he's better than no centre-back, which is what we had when he wasn't able to play there.
Well, what he is, in my view, is he's a very versatile defender and player, but where he does do quite well, and we would never see this, is on the left side of a free. Like, so if you're playing traditional wing-backs, him as the left-sided centre-back, he's excellent. And that's where he plays for Wales a lot of the time.
Yes.
But I agree.
Do you think on occasion when we have
no, he's been around for a long time. Do you think he warrants a new contract, like a year, with a view to maybe bringing him on into the coaching team? Or do you think he gets to sail off into the sunset back to Wales and finish his career in Wales or something?
I don't know. I mean, I see no reason. As you say, he's a reliable squad player. I'd be quite happy to keep him, but maybe he does want to see out, one last hurrah at sort of Cardiff or Swansea or something,
or
Wrexham. Yeah,
that would seem to fit in terms of the type of player they want to bring in, and they're very much on track to be in the Championship next season. So he'd be a very good signing for them. But back to Spurs. I haven't watched, I don't know if you've watched it all, but apparently Postecoglou had some things to say around criticism on, and then obviously something about, I think the context will be lost, but Last Word on Spurs have tweeted about him saying the fans won't be gone anyway. But I don't know if you've seen the press conference.
I haven't, but as I say, I've just seen some quotes, but I don't think that's really what he said. I think he probably said something like, if you read everything in the press, then the fans all want me gone. So basically, I think it's more about him calling out how negative the press coverage has been more than him actually saying that everyone wants him gone. Although I would say the general sentiment is probably more negative than it has been for a while.
It's so funny though, isn't it, though, Graham? Because it can all flip. It can all flip in just over a week's time. We could be in a semi-final of Europa League, right?
Yeah.
And then you're on the cusp of something really bloody good. So we're a fickle bunch, aren't we?
Oh yeah, for
But
sure.
I think and you as well, I think we've both been I think I've been a realist with Ange for the most part, right? I know what we've got. I probably know why we ended up with him as manager, and I've been willing to buy into what he's trying to do. I take issue with things like his nature seems to be quite thin-skinned. He seems to be more interested in calling out and responding to the criticism. Just go down the tunnel, mate. I just leave it. It doesn't matter. Keep it in the sanctum of the team. That's what's important. And if he didn't get pulled into that kind of shit, I think he would do himself a lot of favours.
100%. I think half of the grief he gets now in the press is of his own making.
Yeah,
because he can't just let it ride off him. Like, he needs to be more Teflon coated.
Yeah,
too much of it gets him riled up. Well, listen, what's funny? It's like the managers who can be really grating with the press are usually ones that are really good and they can afford to because they don't need to win anyone over. But he's not been that. You can be you can be as miserable as you want when you're winning if you really want to be. But the press will just keep poking at it until they get a rise out of him, and they do. It's too easy to get a rise out of him, right? You get a soundbite off him without even trying.
It's interesting because I have like this pipe dream of us winning the Europa League, him walking into the press conference afterwards, slamming the trophy down, and being like, "There you go, you bastards!" You know, and then resigning those lots. As I've talked about on this podcast previously, I meet a group of lads every Wednesday and Fridays. But we meet on Wednesday morning at 6. We do a workout and jump in the now getting to be cold water coming into winter here. But a new guy got joined called Lee. Really nice guy, but he's a Coventry fan. And so we struck up a conversation about football, and I said, "Oh yeah, 87 Cup final and all that." I was a bit young to remember that, but he was there. He's a Cov fan and all the rest of it. And he goes, "Oh, what do you think of that?" And I kind of said, "Look, I wanted it to work. I want it to work. I really like him. I think he's got a lot going for him if he just didn't do the things I've just said." And the general consensus when I speak to other fans of other clubs, they all seem to like him. They're like, "Well, he plays a good style of football. He's like nothing else we've had in the Premier League for a long time in terms of the outspokenness," which, to your point, mate, you can get away with it when you're Mourinho and you're winning trophies. But it's a tough one for me because we'll get into it in a minute. But you mentioned that Oliver Glasner is now being rumoured as the latest frontrunner. But does Ange have a point with the club and having to stick to something eventually? Because if we do get rid of him and we bring somebody else in, are we just going to be in the same spot in 18 months? We don't seem to have the patience to want to stick.
Do you think that I think that we'll be having a Harry Redknapp 2 points from 8 games conversation after he gets sacked next season if we don't change in the summer? I just feel like if we don't, could quite easily, we get a bad run of fixtures at the beginning of the next season. Why would it be any different?
Yeah. I mean, what I'm holding on to, why it might be different, full pre-season with a fit squad and some reinforcements. But then again, Levy's kind of scored water on that, hasn't he? In terms of don't think we're going to go and spend big.
Yeah, but we were short on players, but he did have a full pre-season with players. He had a lot of games, isn't it? I think we played something like 6 to 8 games. I can't remember exactly how many it was.
Yeah. I mean, it's almost, I'm like, we know what we get with the chopping and the fucking changing and Ryan Mason coming in and, but we know what we keep getting with this approach, and it's not been good. Now, I'm not saying that Ange is the right man, because maybe this is the case it wouldn't matter because he's the wrong coach for us anyway, but it's just PTSD, I think, mate, because honestly, I'm waiting for the day, let's say we go out of Europa and then he does get fired. I'm going to struggle to feel excited no matter who comes in. I don't know where you sit on that, but it's like, here we go again.
Oh, yeah. It's like Groundhog Day, isn't it? I think that the only time I remember it not being like this was Pochettino, where we had 5 years, was it? He was with us?
Yeah.
Other than that, I can't think of anyone who's lasted more than 2 or 3. Well, about Redknapp. How many was Redknapp for? 3?
Well, and he went mid-season, didn't he? Because there was all that talk of the England job.
But wasn't it yet first season?
We came in October in the first season.
Yeah.
And then we had a really good full season with him because we qualified for Champions League, right?
Yeah.
It seems longer than that. I've just looked it up.
It's not, is it?
October 2008 to June 2012. Doesn't seem right, does it? I thought you went mid-season. He didn't do a complete season, did it? He went in December. Anyway, I completely forgot he managed Jordan for 3 months as well. And Jordan, not the model. Jordan, the country in the Middle East.
He take a lot of management.
Yeah. But you're right. It's like we haven't had any sense of continuity with managers, really. It's been chop and change. And the other thing is, and I said this to a mate here, I would have taken a very shit league position and just a general put it in the bin season under Pochettino in 2019-2020 season, because I think that's where we were heading, because he called it out. And I think we all would have been quite happy to keep him around and had that type of season, and then revisit it that summer, get the players that he wanted, and then we can completely rewrite history and none of this ever happened, because I think that's what he wanted to do.
I think you're right. I'm looking back. Now I've said it, like Pochettino's 5 years. It says Redknapp 4 years, but that's not 4 full years, right? Because
no, definitely not.
Then before that, Martin Jol was 3 years. Randy Ramos was 1. Yeah. Santini less than a year because he left and Jol took over. Hoddle was 2 years. George Graham was 3 years. Christian Gross 1 year. Jerry Francis 3 years. Ozzy Ardiles 1 year. Doug Livermore 1. Peter Shreves 1. Terry Venables 4. So that's the last time we had that. It's like Burkenshaw was 8 years when he won. Yeah. He won a lot of trophies, right?
Well, but then didn't Burkenshaw take us down as well?
He did, and back up again.
Yeah, God brought us back up again.
Because
it's a problem. It's a problem at Spurs, because what the general hierarchy, leadership, Ennick, Levy, whatever you want to call them, they're losing the fan base with this behaviour, right? Arguably, they've lost a lot of the fan base a long time ago, but they're losing us because and it's a big if right now, because Levy might just decide we're not doing it, but if we get rid of him, what's the plan then, right? What's the plan? Another project?
It's interesting. It takes me back to the conversation with David Chen. Do they really care if they lose all of the supporters as long as they fill the stadium every week?
Actually, they always will. Yeah,
tourists spend more money per head at the stadium in merchandise, more likely to eat and drink in the stadium. I think financially, I don't think it hits them at all. If anything, it probably makes it better for them. But it's the whole package is impacted by a lack of atmosphere in the stadium, right?
Well, there has to be something to be said for the fact that should the season continue on how it's been in terms of the downward trajectory in the league, which I don't see why it wouldn't, because of the games we've got approaching in the league and not the tough games, right? And they're games that we would historically maybe struggle with, even if we were top 5 or top 6. But it's quite a sense of disgust, whatever you want to call it. We're probably going to end up finishing lower than when Levy and Ennick came in 2001. Yeah. Right?
Sure.
Lowest ever finish, which is pretty dismal. And we're only, let's call it what it is really, we're only not in the fucking mire because all three promoted teams are abysmal.
Or worse. Yeah.
Yeah. So, well,
just to wrap up the Frankfurt game.
Yeah, I was going to say, bring it back around some more current ties. Frankfurt game, go.
They've got Hugo Ekitike, is it?
Yeah.
He's scored 13 goals in 27 appearances this year, so he's quite a threat. So they keep selling players and finding new ones. They have a pretty good recruitment team, I think, there. The amount of players that they've had through there that have gone on for big sales have been quite high.
Well, Mark was one that they
another one,
wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, I was pissed off about that one because that's another one that Mido was saying that we should absolutely sign. And the previous one from that was Salah. He said we should sign as well. So both the players that he said we could sign both looked absolutely mustard. So maybe we should pay more attention to him.
Or maybe we should maybe employ Mido as
our North African scout or something. Yeah.
Yeah. No, for sure. I've just looked up that Etike. So he plays in the French under-21 team. So Odeberg and Tell would know him quite well.
Yeah, I saw them playing with him. I think Odeberg assisted for him in one of the French games in the international break.
13 in 27 for him in the league this season. So, and it's the age-old thing, right, with Tottenham in games like this. And it goes all the way back to what our guest Andrew had said about prove to us that you can do it. Prove to us that in a big game, you can show up. And again, we've got another opportunity to see if that's the case. I really do hope they do. Well, obviously, I hope they do. I hope for you and Josh's sake they do, because it'll be such a nice thing to be at.
We could do it at the lift. Yeah, a decent atmosphere in the stadium for a change.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
Are you going to go to, was it Fat Bob's for a bit?
Hot Bob's. I'm tempted, but I also, last time I was there, I had a kebab with my neighbour Rico, who was there with his friend, and that was pretty good as well. So I'm kind of torn between.
I don't know if it's still there, but there was a place on the high road called the Tottenham Star. There was a Turkish place that used to do really good kebabs. And this was, we're talking like Uber Eats and all that stuff, but he had a card he'd give you when you went in before the game, or he had to stand outside, he hands you a card, and then you texted him from your Nokia what you wanted. And then when the game was finished, you walked up the high road and it was ready for you.
That's quite cool. Yeah. I think that place is still there. I think it might change that. It's called something different, but I've used to go in there quite a lot, but it's so busy on the high street that it's almost impossible to get a seat in anywhere.
Yeah, you got often me and my mate would get it, and then we'd just walk up a high road eating it usually.
Yeah. So there's another place around the corner just on White Hart Lane that's not bad. Gets a bit tight in there for seat. They crammed a lot of seats in there to make their money at match days, but it's decent.
Well, arguably, we're doing a culinary tour of Tottenham now, but arguably the food outside of the ground, I mean, yes, they've got a lot of chain options and stuff in the ground now, but you're going to get a better feed outside the ground, I think, in terms of options.
I would definitely always recommend, if you want chicken, Chick King is excellent, but it's also, again, the queue is long. Down the road, long.
Yeah. Oh, good stuff. So you're meeting Josh at Waterloo, and then...
Yeah, because he's moved. So he moved from where he was living in West Hampstead. He lives in Surbiton now, so he's on the same line as me into Waterloo.
Yeah, nice.
So that'd be good. Means the journey.
Yeah, my viewing experience is probably going to be delayed for a few reasons. One, it kicks off at 5 a.m. local. Secondly, as I previously mentioned, I meet every Friday and with some mates, and I know that makes me feel good. So I'm going to continue to do that. And then I've actually got a breakfast slated with a group of guys at 8 o'clock on Friday morning. And I've told them all, one of them's into football, and I said, do not fucking tell me the score. And then I'm going to get home, and I'm probably going to start at about 9, which is midnight for you. So I will be on a massive delay. I'll be on blackout, but I will certainly watch the second leg. Let me rephrase that. Depending on what happens in the first leg, I will watch the second leg live, because that kicks off. It's 5 a.m., but it's on Good Friday. So I'll get up and then probably just climb back into bed when it's finished. But so my viewing experience will be on a big delay. So I'm sure we'll be itching to discuss it.
I won't message you then until after.
Well, I'm sure we'll be recording a review and a preview of the Wolves game at some point pretty soon. So I look forward to discussing with you.
Yeah, sure. So a couple of things that I want you to talk us through your Southampton thing that you told me about before we came on air.
Yeah, so if you want some good pub ammo, as I call it, and good trivia, you can ask in a few years' time, which club was responsible for 2 managers from the same club being sacked in the same season? And I don't think it's ever happened before. So when Tottenham beat Southampton in December 5-0, Russell Martin was sacked the next day. And when Tottenham beat them 3-1 just the other weekend, was it Djukovic? Is that his name? He was sacked. So I don't know that's ever happened before. So you've got some pub ammo there, guys, and some trivia to trip up your mates in terms of the only club, I think, I'll have to check, but the one club that's been responsible for 2 sackings from the same club is Tottenham, with Southampton. So there you go, Southampton fans, you're welcome.
I don't know how thankful they'll be for that, but yeah.
Well, then one of our really good friends is a Southampton fan. She grew up with her dad's mad, he's seating older there, and mad Southampton. And it was quite funny. So I was doing I don't think this will go out too far in Australia. I don't care who hears this. But anyway, so how they do the coverage here of Premier League is Optus. And you can stream Optus in a few different ways. You can stream on your phone or on an app or an Apple TV. But they used to have these things called fetch boxes. And I never used my fetch box. So I just gave it to her. And then all of a sudden, they basically got rid of the fetch box and it didn't work. And so she messaged me and she's like, oh, this doesn't seem to be working. I was like, oh, I think they've retired them because like they're so antiquated in terms of technology. And this was a few months. And she was like, I don't think I care. We're going down anyway. So she's like, I don't think I need it anyway. I'm not going to be Premier League next season. But yeah, I feel big fan of Southampton because they did come up and try and do football the right way, but it just shows you what you get for that. And
but I think that's been the mistake that a lot of teams make, right? Like Burnley as well did the same thing, right?
Yeah.
I think unless you can't do it unless you can match the players and the effort.
No, indeed.
You have to come up. The first season you have to play to stay up, and then you can build on that. But a lot of fairly ideological managers won't change the way they want to play football to suit staying in the league. But you know what? Fair play to him. I mean, look what happened to Company. He got the 5 million job. So
I'd love to have access to a time machine and recreate the Wimbledon team from the 90s and put them in the Premier League in its current day and just see what happens.
That would be interesting.
Yeah. And for anyone that's listening, if you don't know the Wimbledon team of the 90s, just give them a YouTube. It was a lot of long ball. And Vinnie Jones, before his acting career, was their captain.
Yes,
indeed.
Grabber of balls.
Yeah, grabber of balls. Well, what we haven't done is our score predictions for Frankfurt. Look, I don't think it really helps us in the long run of this context of the second leg. I think it's going to be a score draw. And I'm glad that away goals don't mean what they used to, but I think I can see it being something like a 2-2, because I think they can worry us. When we're on form, we know we've got the players that can worry them. So I'm going to go 2-2. And I hope for your sake that it's not that and we win. But what do you reckon, mate?
I'm going to take a 1-goal lead to the away game.
Who's scoring?
No, the away game.
I think Son's going to score for us. I think he's going to
play Solanke to score, which he's due for Christ. His goal return has been really poor. It's like bottom quarter of the Premier League.
Not been good.
But he's had a lot of injuries, but still, I would expect him more from him.
I think hopefully we see a performance from Son. It's long overdue. Yeah. We've got too many cats. We have 3 cats, and our latest cat that we got about a year and a bit ago, he is Sonny. That's his name. So Son needs to start it on for the namesake that is our cat. Well, enjoy the game, mate.
I was just going to say I got one more thing.
Yeah.
I just want to shout out for Ian Sawyer, who was one of our guests a few weeks back, who started his own podcast called Podding and Podsfurs, which is a very meta podcast. It's basically a podcast about Tottenham podcasts. So he reviews all of the week's Tottenham podcasts, and it's really good. I really like it. It's quite funny. And he puts himself through listening to an awful lot of Tottenham chat and then reports back on it. So I said, we'll have him back on at the end of the season and he can do an end of season podcast summary. We'll do a season summary.
Absolutely. Well, I've just subscribed to it, so I'm going to listen to that first couple of episodes.
You want to listen? We get a shout out on episode 2.
Oh, brilliant. And then the other one to mention before I do say it again, we had reached out to Ricky Sachs, who is Last Word on Spurs, and he had come back to us about getting on our podcast towards the end of the season, and that is now upon us. So look out for that, guys. I think in the next month or 2, we're going to get Ricky Sachs on for his view, and it'll be a nice guest to get on. He's pretty well known across podcasts. So,
Yeah, sure.
Well, good stuff. Well, as always, enjoy the game, mate. Say hi to Josh and come on, you Spurs.
Yeah, thanks to everyone who's listening. Please like and subscribe to the podcast to tickle the algorithm so we can get in front of more Tottenham supporters. And to close it out, as Glenn said, come on, you Spurs. You can contact us on email at tottenhamhomeandaway@gmail.com or on Twitter X @TottenhamH&A.
Let me be the one that you turn to, someone you can rely on, closer each day, home and away.